scene. And the way I see it is, when you've helped a lot of people, you get the feedback. People thank you personally. I've received so much feedback within the last 8 months, ever since I came to the scene, and to me that is priceless. Sometimes I cry in tears because I meet people during my book signing tour last November. I've had a few people approach me and tell me, Ishmael, ever since I discovered you, well, I guess what they were saying is that they had lost all hope. They were in a downward spiral where they were about to commit suicide. And I had many people tell me in person and through DMs, through social media, that my message gave them so much hope, that they saw light at the end of the tunnel, where they completely changed their minds and they just decided not to kill themselves. And to me, that was a blessing. I didn't realize I had that much of a positive impact on people who were already, getting ready to give up. And to me, that's everything, Janine.
Yeah, you're right. And I do get literally thousands of those kind of comments too. And I'm so appreciative. And I can't let a few nasty things get me down. So I'm gonna rise above, and you're gonna help me do that just by being on the show. You're already cheering me up.
Yeah, we're a team. We're doing it together.
Yeah. I do. I feel that. I know my tribe, and I know you're part of it, and I can feel the people that are coming to this end of this. It's almost like the finish line's in sight, at least for one level of this war, because I know it's been going on in lots of different ways and lots of different levels. But I do really feel like there might be a finish line in sight. How are you feeling about that?
Well, I've been receiving some intel from the Earth Alliance and the Guardian Alliance that due to the fact that the White Hats and the super soldiers of Space Force, because one of the things that people forget to realize is that Space Force is the most powerful organization on planet Earth right now. We have technology within Space Force that is 400 years ahead of the general public. And this is good technology that they inherited by the benevolent races, the galactic beings that are working from behind the scenes to ensure our liberation, of course. And sometimes people forget that. So while the mainstream media continues to spew out fear porn regarding nuclear war with Russia, and as you know, the pedophile that sits in the White House is pushing that, right? He's like provoking Putin, and we all know why he's doing that, right? He's doing that because they know that their time is up. And so people sometimes seem to forget that Space Force has the technology and the capability to neutralize nuclear warheads, and so we don't have to buy into this fear porn, mass media threats. And a lot of people are DMing me saying, Ishmael, we're going to go into a nuclear war. Is the solar flash going to happen before that happens? And I always tell people, bear in mind that there is God, and God is ultimately in control. Whether you call him a higher power, whether we call him prime creator source, everything is being driven at the underlying level of reality. Beyond the White Hats and beyond the cabal, there is an overseer. I don't want to give it a gender. Of course, it's genderless, pure spirit, pure consciousness. But, this earth is meant to become a heaven again. This earth was meant to become a paradise, as written in all records. And so one of the things that the Earth Alliance prevented from happening, Janine, within the last 2 months, especially as we approached the second and third week of December, was a massive attack on the U.S. population. They were trying to, well, first of all, what they did is they redeveloped their HARP system, their weather modification technologies, and they were trying to initiate a Type 5 category hurricane that was supposed to wipe out the entire East Coast sometime along the second week of December. While at the same time, they were trying to use this HARP system to create a 13-point-something Richter scale earthquake that was going to cause a massive tsunami, to the point where it was going to not only bring down California, Oregon, and Washington, but a good portion of Arizona, Nevada, and I think Idaho. I'm not sure, but the whole point is that they were going to destroy the East Coast and the West Coast, and then reduce America down to that central region. And luckily, due to the fact that the Earth Alliance was was able to foresee this from happening, because they do have technologies such as Looking Glass, where they're able to foresee events before they happen. And that's why I've always believed that, at the from behind the scenes, covertly, we are using advanced technologies, both good guys and bad guys. And the white hats, and that's why the white hats are always ahead, because they are working with members of the, benevolent races that are overseeing the deliberation of the earth. And so the whole point is that a lot of the super soldiers that were used to locate these, to stop these disasters from happening, pretty much, allowed the forces of light to have an upper hand against the cabal, because that was the cabal's last effort. Not to mention the reason it's been taking 2 years for the Earth Alliance to, initiate the EBS, the GESERA, the quantum financial system, is because the cabal have been fighting dirty. They have been planning the destruction of over 95% of the world's surface population. And by so doing, they were planting weapons of mass destruction in different parts of the globe for the last 2 years, in order to detonate them at a certain time to kill off as many people as possible. Because in their eyes, they wanted to go out with a bang, because they knew that their time was up. Yeah. And so for the Earth Alliance, it was a matter of trying to, strategically speaking, locate where these weapons were, and it took them almost 2 years. And as of the 1st of January, Janine, they were able to, find these weapons of mass destructions, completely neutralize them. Whereas now the Dark Hats have, or the Cabal have, no more leverage on humanity. So their time is up. And the good news is that while they were doing that, as of the 1st of January, it came to my attention by some of the generals working within the Earth Alliance that the central banking system, the concept of the fiat currency, has been dissolved. And I think that was initiated, as it took about a month from the January 1st to the February 2nd, was it, a week ago or so, where now they have no more fiat currency. So it's just a matter of time before we see the crashing of the current banking system, in order for it to be replaced with what they call the new rainbow currency, GESERA and NESERA and all that stuff, backed by by the real U.S. note. But this is something that's going to also be implemented on a global scale. And many believe that Mr. Putin's actually already doing that. Yeah. And that's why, the European Union and the World Economic Forum and the cabal that is fighting the war against Mr. Putin, because that's who Mr. Putin is fighting. He's fighting pretty much the globalist, and people fail to realize that he's actually working with the Earth Alliance. So I was told that it takes about 2 months for us to see the transition. So we're probably looking at April. Now this is only if and so there are no more delays, of course, because we're also still dealing with the conscious sentient AI that is actually the force behind the cabal. So if everything goes according to plan, Janine, we're looking at this huge transference, or this huge financial transition into the quantum financial system by no later than the 2nd week of April, if everything goes according to plan. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, by the way, it's February 3rd, so February 2nd was just yesterday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, February 2nd. That was, no, I'm sorry. It was 2 days ago. It took a month. You're right. It took a month. So from January 1st, thank you for the correction. I am a week ahead, I guess, in my, but it took from January 1st to February 1st to completely dissolve what we call the fiat currency.
Okay. I can't find you. Somebody was trying to call, and now I can't find you again. Like my visuals are off, so if I look weird, that's what's going on. I don't know how to help myself here, but I'll keep working on it. Oh, there it is. Join meeting. Okay, you can see me, but I can't see you. So weird. Okay, sign in. No, that's not going to work. Has that ever happened to you? There we are. So funny. Sorry about that. So I was listening, though. So the financial system, what you're talking about, you're saying in the next, even sounds like by April, you said a couple weeks into April, we could literally see it, but it's actually happened already on the back channels, which is exactly what I've been getting for months. Like I've been getting that exact, like what I find interesting is I listen to your videos and then I go, wow, and I know we don't have time a lot of times as truthers to listen to each other's videos, but we're getting like identical information. It's fascinating to me. I also get that the Cabal and Khazarian Mafia in the background are largely taken down. And I also get that obviously Putin's actually working for the good. He may not be an entirely good person, but he may not even be an actual person. Okay. I don't know what your views are, but he's certainly a replaced person. I'm thinking years ago he was replaced, and with I think a player that was playing for the White Hats. So whether Absolutely. He was a clone at that time or a double or just another person, because he doesn't really look like the original Putin but those are all just details. We know that a lot of people are wearing masks and a lot of people are replaced. We got that couple, the Gates. I mean, they're not the same people. They were taken out years ago, apparently, by an angry mob, actually. And then, of course, the Khazarian Mafia wanted them to keep bringing in the money like they do, right? They're big money people, so they kept their brand going and then just threw in these two other people. Turns out those two are the ones that got rounded up, I think, in the roundups. And now they're just literally brands working for the White Hats. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the Gates? What do you think's going on with them?
At this point, everybody was replaced. It's just we're just playing out the final script, you could say. Yeah. And the pedophile that is currently the replaced pedophile that is currently running the White House, as of the 10th of January, which was a few weeks ago, signed her constitution away over to the North American Treaty, which is supposed to dissolve the borders of Mexico and Canada and merge them into, similar to the European Union. And I also am starting to believe that was a move by the White Hats in order to have, because that's treason, that's treason to the Republic. I'm starting to think that that's also a move by the White Hats in order to have a reason to take down, these last of the clones that are left. Yep. And while Mr. Trump is actually working a peace treaty with Mr. Putin. So in the end, I think it's going to lead towards Mr. Trump successfully negotiating a peace treaty with Mr. Putin, which will win him a Nobel Peace Prize. In other words, Mr. Trump is going to come out as the person who's going to stop this supposedly, according to the rumors, nuclear holocaust that everybody's talking about. So I think that everything's now being orchestrated by the White Hats at this point. Right.
And I've gotten that up quite a bit too. And I also get, when you say the word orchestrated, like it's almost like there's about 8 different ways they could take out the mask that they call Biden. There's at least 8 ways they could take him out. Like it's almost like they're gearing up and they have all these moves and they could just move in at any time with any one of them. That's what it feels like. They've lined up. It almost feels like there's a whole lineup of White Hat moves and there's almost no moves by the bad guys anymore. So it shows you that they're out of moves. They're out of money. They're hire people all taken out. And people that don't see that, I feel for those people because they're probably still in a lot of fear. But I really see the movie and it's really exposing itself. Like daily, there's things that come out in mainstream media and just it's almost ludicrous what we're watching now. And if people can't see that there's something so wrong there, and if they don't understand and go looking for how can that be? How can they be pushing these agendas when nobody agrees with them? Nobody voted for them. These governments are doing these outrageous things, taking away even more rights. None of that makes sense to me that they could uphold that. So to me, that's got to be the movie.
Yes, it is. And just like in that movie, The Truman Show, a lot of our reality and the third dimension is based on a script. And, something to understand is that the script was written long ago.
Yeah.
So we're just finishing up the script. Now, something to also, I'm going to share some intel regarding what's happening in the cosmos as it relates to the liberation of planet Earth. So according to my research and according to the downloads that I've been receiving, as I also operate on different avatars as a galactic being. And as revealed in my book, Our Cosmic Origin, the house cleansing always first starts from the higher dimensions down. And it has to be in that way. So the house cleansing has been going on for about 8 million years, and starting from the 11th dimension all the way down to the 3rd dimension. And as I speak, within the last few months, the Guardian Light in collaboration with the galactic, councils of light, the benevolent races, have actually finished the galactic war, not only within the Milky Way, but in other galaxies within our local universe. A lot of these negative alien syndicates that have been wreaking havoc across our universe have recently been arrested by members of our own super soldiers. Our super soldiers are the heroes within the Milky Way and also within our universe. And so that is great news, because as I speak right now, the entire galaxy and the entire universe is getting ready to undergo what is called intergalactic and galactic tribunals, which is also going to be reflected when the Earth is finally liberated. I would have to say by the summer. If everything goes accordingly, this April could be a great day of witnessing the fall of the last play out of this darkness, this oppression that's been going on for a while.
Wow, I love it. And I like that you say the Earth being liberated. I'm going to start using that phrase, if you don't mind, because I've been saying like breakthrough, and I'm trying to searching for words all the time, but that really sums it up. The liberation of Earth, that's truly sums it up. So if you don't mind, I'm going to borrow that too. It's a perfect way to describe what I feel is coming. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And all this was prophesied about. I'm not a religious person, but one thing I've come to discover as I studied the book of Revelation and the entire Bible, all the stuff that is now unfolding, Janine, has been revealed in the book of the Apocalypse, or the book of Revelation. And something to understand here, as a lot of people, as many people would get they feel when they hear the word apocalypse or they think it's like doomsday. But let me just remind you that the actual terminology of apocalypse actually means a huge revelation, a massive amount of information that would be restored during the last days of Pisces as we enter the age of Aquarius. And that's what's been happening right now. Yeah. And that's what the word apocalypse means.
So that makes sense to the Tower card, because it's like a revelation, and it's huge and shifts everything and changes everything. And brings down an old system, and you have to rebuild from there. That's really the Tower.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. What's your opinion about the UN? Do you believe there's still a threat to humanity? Still a lot of weird stories out there in mainstream that the UN is, gathering forces or doing these things against humanity. I know what I've been getting around it, but how do you feel about the UN?
As I speak right now, it's being dismantled by the Earth Alliance. There is, I would have to say, don't listen to the mainstream media. The mainstream media is actually telling you the opposite of what's really going on. So, in other words, whatever you hear coming out of the mainstream media, whether it is in Europe, here, Canada, Australia, always flip it and know that that's what's really happening. Totally. There is. Even NATO, as I speak, the World Army, right? That was headed by the globalist, Klaus Schwab and all those criminals. Even NATO, as I speak, is being dismantled, and a lot of this power is now coming back to the Earth Alliance, because the Earth Alliance is growing. Now we started off with 124 countries. Now we have over 136 countries that have signed, the new Commonwealth of Nations. In other words, the restoration of the Republic everywhere worldwide, as opposed to the fascist, globalist, technocratic agenda that is being pushed by, the NWO.
And then there was all that information that recently came out about the WEFers, the WEFers, and their big meeting. And now it was mostly CGI. And I also got that a lot of those walks of shame that happened, like with the CEO of Pfizer, where they interviewed him, alternative media interviewed him, and it was brutal. It was even hard to watch. It was they just nailed him. And then they interviewed that boy that the girl. She's a girl, but definitely a boy, from that family. Now I can't remember her name, but she's a big. She's always the front for the climate change agenda, which is clearly a false agenda. You know what I mean? What's her name again? Can't remember her. Greta Thunberg. They interviewed her and just made her look incredibly silly. It was brutal to watch that too. So unfortunate, because from a young child, that person was put forward, and she was just used by these creeps. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, what's your view on that? The whole WEF meeting. Do you think any of that was real? Do we need to be worried about what came out of it, or was it all part of the movie? What are your feelings on there?
You know, a lot of the people that were supposed to show up, there's a reason why not everybody showed up. You know, including Mr. Musk. He even said, "Why would I want to sit in a boring meeting?" You know what I mean? So I think that it's part of the script that is being played out because there is no more World Economic Forum. You know, they've been dismantled. So this is just, it's almost like a Hollywood movie at this point. You know, these are all actors, and it's all being staged. So I wouldn't really worry about that. You know, there's going to be a massive disclosure pretty soon, which is the real meaning of apocalypse, nothing to do with the end of the world. And, you know, humanity needs to be ready. Humanity. And what I mean is like the normies that are still kind of programmed or asleep, you know, they need to be ready for what is coming, you know, because when this whole thing goes down, Janine, you realize that all those people, all of us that they called crazy, are going to be the ones that are going to be there to kind of like talk to them out of going crazy. And they're going to be coming back and seeking our counsel, and they're going to be, hey, you guys were right. They're going to be apologizing, you know, for calling us crazy. And, you know, just be ready to step into the role of being a mentor when this disclosure takes place. Now, I also want to shed some light on the secret societies real quick, because a lot of people think that the White Hats just all of a sudden emerged within the last 10, 15 years. No. The White Hats have been around for centuries. In fact, the White Hats have been working from behind the scenes for millenniums. It's just that while this world was currently given under the control of the dark forces, but with the limited time, right? Their time is up. The White Hats had to operate in covert from behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So the original White Hats, Janine, could be traceable back to the ancient mystery school teachings, to the secret benevolent society known as the Essenes, which, you know, Jesus and Mary Magdalene were a part of. Mm-hmm. And also their Egyptian branch known as the Therapeutae, which means the healers. These are people going back, you know, to over 2,000 years ago that practiced healing modalities that were teaching ascension principles way before our time, you know, way before the dawn of what we call Europe as we know it, right? Mm-hmm. During the times of the Roman Empire. And during the times of the Roman Empire, they had to operate in secret in order to preserve this sacred knowledge. Mm-hmm. So after the collapse of Rome, which was initiated by the so-called lost 10 tribes of Israel, what they call the barbaric tribes back then. Again, you know, the winners of history always rewrite records, but these were the actual lost 10 tribes of Israel that ransacked Rome to its knees. And then, of course, you know, Rome later reorganized as the Roman Catholic Church, which was really another cabal organization. All right, which plunged us into the Dark Ages, right? Mm-hmm. You know, you will know them by their fruits. So obviously, because of the fact that they plunged us into the darkest ages ever experienced on the face of this earth, that was when the cabal was overtly trying to push their version of the NWO back then, you know, 1700 years ago. And so what ended up happening is the original survivors of these. Of the community of Qumran, of the Essenes, of the Therapeutae, and of the ancient Druid traditions, they later reorganized as the Knights Templars, you know, in order to continue and resurrect the ancient mystery school teachings, which had a lot to do with ascension. And so members of these secret societies, which also later became the Order of the Rosicrucians, were Dante, Michelangelo, Nicolas de Cusa, and then, of course, Galileo Galilei, among others. But these are like the famous Renaissance guys. And if it wasn't for these secret benevolent societies that existed during the Dark Ages, we would have never been here at this time. We would have never been here at the finish line. They were actually persecuted. Many of the members of these benevolent secret societies, of the original Knights Templars, before they became the Order of the Rosicrucians, who preserved this ancient knowledge, were actually burned at the stake and persecuted during medieval times. Yeah. And so a lot of people, fail to realize that not all secret societies have always been evil, But of course, we did have an infiltration of these benevolent secret societies by the Jesuit order, which began to organize themselves around the 15th century, right after, I guess around 1504, that Ignatius de Loyola organized the Jesuit order, and then that became the head of the cabal 500, 600 years ago. And then, of course, through education system, by infiltrating everything in Europe, they were able to then infiltrate the secret societies. But for the most part, secret societies have been acting as the keepers of the knowledge and wisdom that has now recently resurfaced during our times. Mm-hmm. And that explains, the tarot cards. That explains astrology. That explains alchemy, philosophy, anything that has to do with divination, anything that has to do with connecting to the spirit realm. It was preserved by these benevolent secret societies. Yeah. And also we fail to recognize that even our founding fathers were members of these Rosicrucian orders, the Order of the Rosicrucians. The original Masons were good. But then, of course, we find out that they were also infiltrated in the 1700s by Adam Weishaupt, who was the Bavarian founder of what we call today the Illuminati. And then that's when the House of Rothschilds came about. And, basically the whole point is that throughout history, the secret societies back in time were actually benevolent. Mm-hmm. And then later, because of these despots, kings, popes, and rulers that wanted to control Europe, who again were the cabal during those times, wanted to keep this information suppressed. And they took what they needed in order to control the masses, but they tried to destroy as many as possible, as much as possible. And that explains the burning down of the Alexandrian Library, among other records that they destroyed. Yeah. So, wow. I say this because a lot of people say that, are claiming that all secret societies have been evil, that the Knights Templars were evil. And no, that's not the case. The Knights Templars were actually the good guys during medieval times, during the Dark Ages, because those were the ones that were opposing the Roman Catholic Church. And yes, bear in mind that these brotherhoods do infiltrate each other. They have to. That's how they, it's like a chess game, in order to be one step above the other, you have to do it through infiltration. Otherwise, it just doesn't work that way. So we could trace the history of the White Hats to the original Knights Templars, to the original founders of the Rosicrucian order. Joan of Arc was a White Hat. Galileo Galilei, Copernicus, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Nicolas Cusa. All those people that were burned at the stake, that were arrested, that were persecuted, 800 years ago, 500 years ago, before the Renaissance and the scientific revolution, were members of the White Hats. And if it wasn't for those people, we would have never had the 15th century Reformation, the scientific revolution, the Renaissance, which was an explosion of resurrecting, all this knowledge back to the earth, right? Tarot, astrology, alchemy, all that stuff. And most importantly, we would have never had established the Constitution of the United States of America. So all that was possible because of these people that gave their lives during the Dark Ages, European Dark Ages. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Wow. I appreciate those throwouts. I love it. Yeah, because my mind doesn't really, I was thinking Michelangelo might have been like a dark hat, might have been one of the original Illuminati, but I guess I'm off on there. I'm going to have to do some more looking around. It makes sense because he's so creative. And we know that the demonics are not that creative. So that does actually make a lot of sense to me. I was just assuming because he hoity-toity'd with, some really probably bad characters back then. But if you think about it, maybe he needed to, right? Or he could have even come from a family that was connected, kind of like Trump, right? So Trump's rubbed shoulders with a lot of baddies, and lots of people love to bring that up. But I always got that he's a hybrid of some kind. And when I deep dived on him with John Claude and I, we did a really big deep dive on his family background and lineage. And it looked like he was actually hybrid and sort of off-world / human. I can't remember all the details we got, but it was really a detailed video we did. And we got that he was placed and then tested throughout his life without him even knowing. And then they finally brought him in and told him what they had in mind for him. But he'd been tested and watched for his whole life. So I don't know what your thoughts are around that.
That makes actually sense because his uncle, John Trump, was very close with Nikola Tesla. Mm-hmm. And, Nikola Tesla, before he died, I think a lot of the important documents like that deal with time travel were actually secured by John Trump. Mm-hmm. And that's why many believe that the Trumps are time travelers because they had access to documents,
Yeah. So. And then there's that weird book that's Baron Trump, and it was written before Baron was ever even born, obviously. So Baron Trump being Trump's son, his youngest son. And then this book's floating around, and it's about this young man, or this boy. I guess it's a boy in the book. I can't remember the details, but that he has this really important father. So it is really fascinating. Like the time travel thing makes complete sense that time obviously doesn't work the way we think it does. And we're maybe even weaving, I don't know how you feel about this, but I get the feeling we weave in and out of timelines. And if we're really aware, yeah, we can actually, because I feel like deja vus can be like that, but I can actually dream other lifetimes and then wake up and now I'm living this one, but I'm doing all this other stuff somewhere else in my, I guess, unconscious time.
Well, they say that when we dream, we're actually experiencing alternative universes, or where we exist in alternative universes, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Just to sideline over somewhere a little different. There's a lot of people, like I must have had 50 emails this morning all about this balloon. So supposedly there's this ginormous balloon floating over the United States. Right now it's headed for central U.S. It was in the north. It was actually over Montana for a while, Idaho and Montana area. And now it's apparently in the mid states. I don't know what that means to people from the U.S., but I could look on a map, I guess. So now it's moving, and they haven't shot it down, which I find fascinating if it really was what they're saying it is. And my first thought, and I'll just throw this out there, was like, why would they must have technology that could hide a spy device like that, if it was a spy device, for instance, or if it was some kind of weapon. Okay, so why would they send over a balloon that's as big as 3 buses and have it floating over in plain sight? Pretty obvious this is a big scam of some kind, or a psyop, or a white hat op, or a part of the movie. But I don't know. What do you think?
It's a psyop. It's to divert the attention, because what's been happening from behind the scenes, the dark hats are done with. When you remove their central banking systems and you dissolve their fiat currency, they have nothing to stand on anymore. And like I said, when you remove all their weapons of mass destruction and all their technologies that they've been using to suppress us and oppress us, so I think it's a psyops. I don't think it's anything. I don't think it's China. Of course, they're always trying to blame, China or another country, but people seem to forget that the CCP of China and the current pedophile that is running our country, and the globalists, the World Economic, they're all working together. Yep. They're all part of the same team. So.
And also, they say supposedly out there on mainstream, so of course we know it's likely not true at all, but they're saying that China responded and said, yeah, it's some weather gathering sort of instrument, and it got lost. Okay. It got off route. I mean, come on. That is like, do they think we're like that stupid? Like, to me, it's like a calm of some kind. I'm going to be looking into it on my my next world news video, which will be shortly after this video, actually. Yeah, I can't wait to find out what the cards say about it. I haven't looked at the cards on it yet, but it's going to be fun.
Now, are you familiar with the comet that has been passing us by in the last couple of days?
Yeah, the green one. They call it the green comet.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you know about that?
It's here to help bring in more of the positive energies. By the way, it's being that is being sent by the good guys, and so it's also supposed to help the Earth's electromagnetic field when the solar flash takes place. It's supposed to like stabilize it, so it's not as harsh. So it's a good thing, and it's also here to kind of bring in more high frequencies that are coming in from the galactic core. So, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that comet, and I believe it was prophesied about. I believe that comet, it was told in some ancient records that when the comet comes, that's when we would have the shift of the ages shortly right after. Like that would be the indicator that we would go from one age to the next, the golden age, in other words, as we end the dark age.
Even the fact that they're calling it a green comet, I found that really interesting, like go time, or green is a green light to me, and or heart chakra. There's so many good things around the color green. To me, it must be positive.
Oh, it is. It's very positive. Yeah, it was actually sent by the Galactic Council that operates from the center of the galaxy, of the High Council of the Central Sun. So it was kind of sent as a trigger, as a this is it, guys. This is time for you guys to be uplifted, for the righteous to inherit the new earth and to eliminate the wicked. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. I got to tell you, this has been a bad week, man. I mean, I'm doing much better right now, but yeah, it was a tough week. And I feel like the night they said the comet was supposed to be really close, I think that was on the 1st, wasn't it? February 1st. They were saying at a certain hour it was going to be traveling the closest to the Earth. And I really did feel a really interesting shift that night. I remember I couldn't sleep. And a lot of people were saying they couldn't sleep. I mean, that could be a lot of things, I know.
Same here. I couldn't sleep at all. I only slept 1 hour that night.
Wow.
And I was just up all night. So I think it had an effect on our consciousness in a positive way, of course.
Yeah.
It could have also been working as a way to upgrade us. In preparation for the great event, the solar flash.
Wow. So update on the solar flash. What are your feelings about where we're sitting, for that event to come?
Well, I had a vision years ago when I was writing our cosmic origin, and I always felt that it was going to happen before 2024. So I'm going to stick to that. However, there are other people out there who are feeling that it might happen by no later than 2028. And I hope that's not the case, because we need drastic change now. Humanity can no longer withstand and can no longer persevere, the challenges, oppression, that we're undergoing. So I think it should be happening, hopefully, by summer. We'll see. Or sometime at the end of the year,
Some people say that recently Trump did a little talk, like he often does, or I think he was on a radio call, I can't remember, recently. And he said April Fools several times. And a lot of the Anons were saying that the calm there was that April, the foolery about April is that it's actually the beginning of the year, and that our years are mixed up. The cabal mixed up our time, and that actually April 1st is the beginning of 2024. And that's why Trump keeps talking about, he's going to be, reelected in 2024 or reinstated or whatever he's been saying. And they say that April actually would be the beginning of 2024 if we were on the right sort of calendar. So it's all really interesting. Like maybe your 2024, maybe that's what you're picking up. It's going to be like, if it does come soon, that would make sense to the time frame being different than we thought it was.
Exactly. And that also ties in with the implementation of the new quantum financial system, and backed by real precious metals, what they call the rainbow currency. Yeah. This April, based on what's been happening behind the scenes with the Earth Alliance and the Dark Hats. So it all makes perfect sense. So I guess this April could be the month. I pray that it is,
Yeah.
Pray that it is, because we need a miracle at this point.
Yeah, we definitely do. Yeah. We need just a break, like a shift for the people that have been working so hard, and that's all of us and everybody watching, and the white hats and everybody working behind the scenes. Like, the shift would really uplift and get people, back on track, and not so, because things are getting pretty dreary out there on the battlefield.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of people are losing hope. They're losing hope in the white hats as I speak. Yep. A lot of people are calling them the gray hats now, right? They think they've been compromised, or that they are now controlled opposition. Yep. But, I've always believed that living in a world of duality, wherever there's a yin, there's always going to be a yang. And that's just a universal principle. Yeah. You can't have one without the other. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Now, let's go ahead and ask me a question if you want, and I'll pull some cards for you if you like, if you got a few questions you want to ask me. And otherwise, we'll want to know what you want to tell us about your coming, like, what are you promoting? What's your next move in your career?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be speaking at the Los Angeles Conscious Life Expo next weekend. It's a 3-day event, 11th, 12th, and 13th. Mm-hmm. I will be there all 3 days. I'm going to be on a panel on Sunday with it's called the New Earth Panel, and then on Saturday I will be speaking in the afternoon from 1 to 2. So for those that are coming to the Conscious Life Expo, make sure you come say hi to me. That'd be nice, right? But and then at the same time, I was invited to speak at the UFO Conference Expo in Vegas, which is this April. So I'm going to be there as well for 3 days, and then I'm also going to be speaking at the New Earth Expo near Mount Shasta, Northern California, sometime in, I believe, September. So this year I'm going to be pretty busy going to all these different expos, speaking at all these different expos.
Exciting.
And for those that have, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to ask you about your book, because I know you reworked it or something.
Yeah, I totally.
Tell us about it.
I restructured it. I revised it. I corrected all the errors. And by the way, I was compromised before I went to print back in 2021 for the first edition. I did put it through an editor, and they didn't want this information to come out. And so somebody at Amazon, I don't know if they were working for Amazon, but they completely sabotaged my original edition. So what I did this time is I actually read through it before it was put into print, and then I gave it the okay. And then when they printed the new version, I actually read through it, and it reads swiftly. Not to mention, I also restructured it where it reads a little bit more simple in order for people to digest, because it's very dense information. And I also added a new chapter, and the new chapter actually reveals what happens after the ascension. So it's very intriguing now, very fascinating. Thank you. And in order to get the new edition, guys, okay, this is the thing. Amazon is still selling the old edition. So if you guys go through Amazon by itself, they're probably going to send you to the old edition. So in order to get the new edition, what I could do is I give you my website, go through my website, click A, and it's the purple cover. So I do have a hardcover now. And then I also have the paperback, new edition. So the only way to get the new edition is through my website. You click the A, it'll take you to the Amazon link that is selling the new edition. So don't go through Amazon anymore. Just go through my website, click the A, and you guys will get the new edition.
Sweet. That's good to know.
And
Did you have a question?
I actually do have a question for you, Janine.
Okay, awesome.
All right. So again, April to me is a very significant month. I mean, this could be it, and even back in November, I don't know if you remember when we were having a chat back then, I was saying that everything might happen in the spring of next year. I was mentioning how, that's when we're going to be aligned with the age of Aquarius, so it's the beginning of a new era. And I want to kind of find out, according to your cards, if definitely this spring will be, the great transition into a better world for humanity.
First card, pull. So that's moving out of troubled water. Information moving us. See, he goes from troubled water to smooth water. He's pushing away from with his whole family. So it's like an eagle view. It's like getting a big glimpse of. So information moving us out of troubled water. And that's a soft yes on your question. So all that means is yes, but there's more to it than that. Okay. So that could mean a couple of things. It could even mean it's sooner, or it could mean that that's the beginning of it. And now this is clarifying. So I'd say April would be the beginning of the vision or the visualized place, and it'll be worth the wait, this says. So this guy becomes enlightened through putting himself through difficulty. It's like he's being marinated by all his lessons, and it's not easy, like he's being tenderized and marinated, right? And we know that that's, if we were a piece of meat, that wouldn't feel that great, right? We're getting beat up out here. Okay. But it's actually meant to, keep us on our personal path, get us closer to our soul essence, and really be ready, okay, for what's coming. And that's why that glow around his head. He's becoming enlightened through putting himself in this difficult situation. And we all chose to be here now and to experience this together, or we wouldn't all be here. We wouldn't be watching videos like this. We came together to do this work together. So we're moving out of troubled water, and yes to April. It might be the beginning. It'll be worth the wait though. So it's going to be worth the wait, and certainly we'll be a lot further ahead by April. We might not be all the way in the perfect time yet, but you'll get a big glimpse of it by then.
Nice. Well, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to see what's going to unfold in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Well, I think this year, 2023, is going to be a significant year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
I always say it. I love the number 23. So I don't know why. I can't explain why. I just like it. It has a good energy to me. And I just know 23 is definitely there's so many things obviously going to finally come that we've been waiting for. I mean, we're already seeing it. We're so close to so many things. In my opinion, they've outed themselves so badly. Even like the taxes systems have outed themselves. We have so much knowledge now that really the demonics and overlords or whatever that have been sort of pillaging us as a human race, they can't really get away with it. We got eyes on. There are eyes on and digital soldiers everywhere. And you and I know that for sure because we got, viewerships full of them, right? I get sent an amazing amount of information that people have really studied and looked into, and things that I would never have the patience to do. And so I'm so appreciative of all those people sending me that information. That's not my style. That's not what I do. And then I just like to check in on it and see how legit is it? How much of this is true? That's what I do. That's what I do with the cards, right? I'm not the person doing the legwork, right? But I so appreciate, like yourself, years of study and like that kind of, that kind of tenacity to, research. I absolutely respect. I just want everybody to know that it's not what I do, but I absolutely respect it. So we all need each other. I got a little place in this big war. You got your place. I knew you were coming. Like I saw you coming. The King of Swords was always what I would get. And I remember the first time I got the King of Swords and I described exactly what you're like. And then you showed up. I'm like, oh, that's gotta be the King of Swords I was talking about. And then I never got that card anymore. Because you'd already showed up. So I took that as confirmation for me, right? I didn't need to know about the King of Swords because he was already here. It was pretty interesting anyway. But yeah, we've all got these little places, these little parts. There's a wonderful truthers out there. Right now, the deep state's desperately trying to take us down. It's their last ditch effort. That's all they got left is to try to smear us. And it's just not going to work. We're not going to let it work.
Of course, yeah, we're not, and what I say to those people out there that are, trying to hate on us, I would say that they're probably just being pawns of the deep state, through mind control, through MK Ultra.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why I never respond,
Yeah.
And I love my fans always send me videos, whether it's positive or negative. They're like, oh, Ishmael, this lady here is saying this about you. How dare she say this about you? And I'm like, and I just, I ignore it. Of course I watch it because I want to see what she's saying, but then I just ignore it. Like, I don't even comment or, respond. Yeah. And it's just comical to me. The way I see it is when you have so much light within you and you are actually changing the world for the better and you're impacting people in a way where you're helping them, you're uplifting them, there's always going to be an attack. So the more light we have, the greater, the more of a threat we are to the dark forces. So of course they're going to throw their darts,
Yeah.
And that's just the way I've always seen it.
Yeah. And the way I look at it is when somebody that calls themselves a truther spends their whole time dissecting other people's information and or Telegram channel or whatever and pulling stuff from there, and now they're going to try to smear that truther. To me, it's like they got nothing to do with the truther movement. That they're not about the truth, because we're in a war. We don't have time to do that. It's all hands on deck. You need to be given information. If you don't have information and all you're doing is ratting out supposedly truthers and smearing their name, okay, how is that? Like, it's very strange. It's like this fringe, and they're still somehow considered truthers. Well, they're not. They're obviously not. They're obviously deep players. And even if they don't realize that they're being used, and they're just stirring shit up. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
Perfect. Otherwise we would all be fighting together against Klaus Schwab and the NWO, and the corruption. So yeah, you make perfect sense. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Good. Well, I'm glad you're on this journey, this lifetime. I'm glad I'm glad I found the King of Swords. I'm super excited. As soon as I saw you in your first video, I was like, okay, there he is. So I'm just glad that we're in this together, because we all need each other. Like, we need the support of the other truthers. We need our beautiful viewership support. It's hard work out here, but it's absolutely worth it. And I signed up for it, obviously, lifetimes ago, because as soon as we moved into this pandemic situation, I just clicked on. I was like, okay, I think there's a spot for me here. And I didn't even know at first what I was doing. I was just struggling in the dark, but then it became really, really crystal clear. And it's just like my mission presented itself. And I always listen to what my mission is, because I'm like that.
To my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink, cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? Sometimes you need to let loose, grab juice, get goose, tattoos, taboos, get screwed. Loosen up, buttercup, all those hate comments will never make you feel enough. We're all adequate graduates, hearts full of calluses, but we know calculus. Damn, ain't that fabulous? Can't wait to apply all those mathematicus. But we can't get a job that pays us enough. I'm about to pop up.
Chẳng thể quên khi cơn mưa đêm lại về. Em đã quên lời thề và ta như đông chìm sâu. Không còn mới em anh nhận màu. Em chỉ cần mơ đâu em chỉ còn là những cơn mưa vô giá. Cho bên mưa em không mơ anh. Anh một đêm mơ chỉ cần bên em không được cơn nhớ. Và chỉ có em không muốn nhớ. Và người ta bên nhau như ngã thơ. Muốn nhớ về say em chỉ có mấy em ở đây. Và anh như muốn chết đi nhưng không muốn em mơ mày. Tình yêu làm cho ta đau đầu. Không em như nằm mơ mộng. Anh như đứa mong cầu. Và mưa bên em ngủ sầu. Chắc có mãi mãi em mơ. Chỉ có bên em nhưng là khó mơ. Mà đang dài em muốn bên ai. Anh không mong gì hơn. Chỉ mong em sẽ ở đây ôm anh thật gần. Anh chỉ mong đôi ta được có nhau. Mà đừng em đâu anh có em. Một đêm bên anh có em. Ta sẽ trao nhau môi hôn thật sâu. Ôm anh cứ mưa bằng gâu. Và em chỉ nằm đâu. Anh không muốn em ở đâu đâu. Một cơn lát thứ anh không mơ cầu. Mà không đôi anh mà bên anh chỉ là my friend em quên đi bao lời hứa. Quên đi cả những ngày xưa anh như là một đứa em không còn một chưa mà đừng đêm ở đêm. Anh như một đôi mà game. Không như là ba trên thêm. Cho em nhiều hơn như là game chỉ cần là mưa thôi. Em chỉ cần là mưa thôi. Còn ai sẽ là nắng rồi. Em chỉ cần là mưa thôi. Cho anh được êm trôi. Cho anh được ôm em kia trời nắng. Và ôm em kia trời mưa. Và có anh có mặt trời em như là cuộc đời có được nhau là gặp thời không cần mưa để mần lời anh muốn em mau về đây để cơn mưa ngừng trôi